So let's talk about the CPI data report. What's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechBet Solutions, and I just announced one of my SQQQ trades as the market has reversed. I'm not up very much, pretty much a $1,000 day so far, but the day is young. So what exactly is going on? Why is the market selling off? First off, let's talk about this actual report. CPI data report, again, my goal here is for you to be able to do this all on your own. This actual site is called bls.gov/CPI. It's the actual official website on where the actual CPI report is released and reported every single month. So if you are actually someone that's invested in the stock market, this is going to be a website that you actually want to save. Now, one of the breakdowns here on this chart is one of the big things that you see is that energy is the biggest contributor on why we saw overall inflation go down for the month of March. Now let's go into the breakdown. I'm going to break this all down for you so you guys have a better understanding. I did this for my Learn Plan Profit Group live this morning so they all understood exactly why we're seeing such a big drop at the rate of inflation. So the first thing is, what is the current inflation rate that was reported today? 5% is for overall inflation. We went from 6% all the way down to 5%. Very easy to understand. What was the market's expectation? 5.2%. Well, Ricky, why is the market selling off, right? So why is the market selling off if we came in lower than expected? Isn't lower inflation good? Two reasons. First off, core CPI came in higher than the previous month. It came in as expected, but it did go up, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. The second reason is now the concern isn't so much inflation, as inflation is going down, but now the big concern is a recession because the economy is slowing down so much so quickly. Now, did we do too much too quickly? That's the concern that a lot of people are bringing to people's attention. And now the main concern is, are we going into a potential recession with the economic slowdown and the job labor market slowdown? But let's go ahead and break this down. What is core CPI? Core CPI came in at 5.6%, as you can see right on over here, for the past 12 months. And again, core CPI is everything excluding food and energy. Now, this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand. It's how this thing is actually calculated. They don't understand how we went from 6% all the way down to 5%, but you will right after this. It's very simple. CPI is calculated for the past 12 months, right? And we can see this. We added the new month of March, and in the formula, we removed the old month of March. But you can see this, right? The example and the analogy that I gave to my Learn Plan Profit team, it's like we're cutting off the fat of when inflation was going and ramping up, right? Do you guys remember last year when inflation hit a 40-year high? Scratching your head? Do you remember when we were at that 40-year high? That was in the month of June when inflation gapped up 1.2% in just 1 month. This is during the ramp up of when month after month after month, we were seeing inflation go up from 7 to 8 to then 9 and then 9.1%, right? That is when the fat was being added to our inflation rate. But because inflation is only calculated for the past 12 months, we're chipping away for the next 3 months, right? Because this month was March, which means that in this calculation, we remove the old March. And that means that we only have 3 more months of this fatty inflation, right? That's the best analogy that I can give you, because after we remove these 3 months, and if you do the math, 0.4, 0.9, and then 1.2, that's equivalent to about 2.5%. We currently sit at 5%. So that means that once we remove this, if we have anything close to what we've experienced, meaning that if our inflation continues to stay around 0.1 to 0.4% of an increase month over month, we'll be very close to that 2.5 to 3% month, or 2.5 to 3% inflation after seasonal adjustment. And that's the beautiful thing about how the CPI data report is calculated, is by removing the old months as we get in deeper into 2023, we really begin to chip away at our inflation rate because of how CPI is calculated. And I just wanted you guys to understand that. If you want to look at the exact formula that they use to calculate the CPI, then again, you can look a little bit more into it in this, right? So not seasonal adjusted CPI measures. And again, it actually has the full breakdown for you right on over here. But I want to show you what was the biggest contributor to our inflation going down in the month of March. Let's zoom in very quickly for all of our iPhone users. It's very easy to read this. Don't overcomplicate it. These are just the previous months. This is the month that we're paying attention to. And it's this line item, right? So all food items. So food, and energy goes up to here. So this is including overall CPI, and we can see that it's up to here. And then for these items, do you see how it's, it has this gap, and then it goes into these items? That is core CPI. So core CPI is everything excluding food and energy. So all of this is overall CPI. Just this area is core CPI. So why is it that core CPI went up from 5.5 to 5.6%, but overall CPI, if it's more that's being calculated, actually went down? It's because energy, look at this, 4.6% drop, negative 4.6% drop, negative 4% drop, negative 2.3% drop, negative 0.7% drop, negative 7.1% drop. This is all in the energy sector. This is why I said that energy was the biggest contributor on why inflation went down in the month of March, right? And it's because it's included that, just like it sucked last year, right? Because energy was the one that was contributing most to the inflation rate, right? That's when energy was really ramping up, and when we were seeing energy prices go up and up and up. That really hurt our inflation rate last year, having that be calculated in overall inflation. But now that it's going down, it helps the inflation rate go down, right, quicker. But that's why core CPI didn't go down, because core CPI does not include energy and food items. It just includes overall items, right? Such as, not overall items. It just includes these line items that you see here, where it's new vehicles, commodities, apparel, medical care commodities, shelter, transportation services, and medical care services. So again, a much smaller group for core CPI, a much larger area for overall CPI, but that is the important part to know about how the CPI report is being calculated. Now, again, going back to the idea of core CPI, right? So I wanted to bring this up for you guys. We went from 5.5 to 5.6%. The expectation was 5.6%, but I can already imagine the headlines. The headlines are going to be what they've always been, and it's, can the Federal Reserve gain control of core CPI, right? Because if you understand the Federal Reserve, they can't affect the prices of food and energy, right? But they can affect the prices of other items by raising interest rates, right? That's how it is that it's worked in the past before. So it's going to really question the certainty of the Federal Reserve and what they're going to continue to choose to do, right? Because if core inflation is actually going up, and core inflation is considered to be the only area where the Federal Reserve has influence, and if that's going up but everything else is going down, that might justify the Federal Reserve needing to create another rate hike, because core inflation is actually going up and not actually going down. So when asking the question, why is the market selling off? Very simple. It's because of the uncertainty that with how the Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates, core CPI doesn't look like it's going down month over month. Overall CPI is, but one thing that I want to remind you is, although energy is going down right now for the month of March, if you guys listened last month, OPEC, which is one of the world's largest oil producers, right, announced a production cut, meaning that if they cut production and demand stays the same, but really we're entering summer months, right, and those are busier, more consumption, more demand during that time, what do you think is going to happen to prices? Boop, 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 right? Very easy to understand that in the next couple of months, energy prices should begin to go up, and unfortunately, then that will again begin to contribute to the effects of our overall inflation rate, and we will see it with the CPI data reports. But again, wanted you guys to have a full understanding of what was reported today. I wanted you to have an understanding of the concern of the CPI report, and it's not overall CPI, but it's core CPI. Can the Federal Reserve gain control of our core inflation rate? That is the question everyone is asking. If you have any other questions that you would like me to answer for you, especially if you're an absolute beginner, I welcome it all, right? You can direct message me in two different ways. Direct message me via Discord, or that's the first link in the description down below, or direct message me via Instagram. I am verified on Instagram, and it's the third link in the description down below. I have no other Instagram account. There's a bunch of fake accounts out there. please just report them, and please know that my only Instagram account is the third link in the description down below. But I just wanted to share this with you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little session. I know that I did, and check this out. Again, we are up 3K on the day, testing our resistance at 31.19. It is a beautiful day to be a bear, but have no fear. When in doubt, we pull out, and today is not a day you want to mess around with. Today is a very volatile day. It's a day you want to lock in profits, and regardless if you're, just like bulls were in the green this morning, what did we say during our CPI live stream? I was surprised that the CPI data report wasn't, overreacting. At its peak, it was only up 3% on TQQQ or 1% on QQQ. That's nothing. That is nothing for a CPI data report. And that is why I was like, at this point, if it doesn't actually continue to make higher highs, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually begin to sell off and give it all back. I encouraged our beginner traders to have an exit plan, have a stop loss at either a break of pattern or their price target, whatever the case might be. Remember, your job is not to be perfect. Your job is to simply have a plan and to manage your risk. As boring as that sounds, guess what? Being boring and being green is better than being exciting and being red, right? Very easy way to live. Do not overcomplicate your trading. So again, I do trade live every single morning with our LPP team. If you want to be able to watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow, that is going to be the second link in the description down below. But it's a one-time payment, lifetime access. You get $150 off. It's our biggest sell, and you earn 5,000 entries for our GTR giveaway. Again, if you want to learn more about that, it's the second link in the description down below. And don't forget to use promo code Pelosi at checkout on shoptechbuds.com, and that's for buying apparel, which is the fourth link in the description down below. I appreciate your time. Hope that we're a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.